Hello everyone, and welcome to the Bard Cave and this newly named Painting While Hasted, which will be time-lapse videos of me painting miniatures. Today I'll be using Nolz's Marvelous Pigments Adventure Set, Underdark Set, and Monster Set, and using the Army Painter Battlefields Basing Set for the bases. Today's miniatures are the Doppelgängers, the shape-shifting humanoids from the Underdark. From Nolz's Marvelous Miniatures, they come 2 to a pack, in slightly different poses, but I think 2 Doppelgängers in an encounter is more than enough. So, in the monster manual, the Doppelgängers have this kind of dark blue, grey, clay-looking skin, so I'm going with Underdark Indigo as the base colour for these figures. So I'm going over them with this shadow wash, just to kind of darken some of the recesses and kind of bring down the Underdark Indigo just a little bit. So now I'm just going over with a clean brush just to kind of soak up some of the pockets where there's a little bit too much wash. So now I'm going to use Underdark Grey as a kind of highlight, or use a dry brush highlight, just to kind of add that grey clay feel onto the blue. So I'm just very, very lightly catching the top edges of this miniature with Underdark Grey. Now, if you wanted to stop at this point, you would have 2 perfectly fine looking doppelgangers that you could use on your table. And it all is relevant, isn't it, to how much use you'll get out of them. I wanted to kind of give them this partially transformed feel. So I went with this kind of sturge tan to create patches of like skin tone on the doppelganger so that it looked like it was mid shapeshift, to really kind of get across why this monster is so sneaky and dangerous. So I'm just randomly finding patches on the figure and just creating shapes. There's no real rhyme or reason to where I'm doing it. It's just wherever I feel it needs to be. And I'm doing just the same thing with the second figure. Trying to make the patches and the placement slightly different so that they look different. So I'm using this angelic yellow just to use on the eyes. The picture of the doppelganger in the monster manual has these very creepy, piercing yellow eyes. So I'm just using a 0 brush, might even be a 00, just so I've got the smallest point I could possibly have. And now I'm basing them in the same underdark grey that I used to highlight the blue. And I decided to actually give it a coat across the whole base to give me a starting point for when I create the details on the base later. I've also highlighted the flesh tone with just white. I've done the same dry brush technique that I did for the blue, but I've used white just to bring out the top ends of the flesh tone. I'm not sure where that footage went. So right now I'm using some of the large kind of wood chips from the Army Baser Battlefield basing set, and I'm basically just dipping them in the same grey as the base to create kind of rocky formations. So I'm using super glue, and then I'm just grabbing some of the now rocks and just applying them with tweezers. And there we have it, some mid-shape-shifting doppelgangers to throw at my players. So, I want to know in the comments, have any encounters that you've used with doppelgangers? I remember I ran a very fun encounter kind of inspired by The Thing, where my players were in a small wizard's tower that had been overrun by a couple of doppelgangers, and it involved the two of the players being split off from the group and then role-playing as the doppelganger version of themselves and trying to fool the rest of the group. It was a lot of fun. So I want to know about your encounters with doppelgangers in the comments below. And as always, thank you for joining us at the Bard Cave, and we'll see you soon.